Hello and welcome to our second class on making your own makeup. And today we are going to talk about things that you might want to use in your recipes and a few things that you want to watch out for when you are buying things commercially. So let's get started. Just a quick overview. This is our second class. We did the history of makeup in our first class. Next class, we're going to talk about preparing your canvas or taking care of your skin. So let's go ahead really quickly and go over what your class tasks are for this week. So you only have two tasks for class this week. The first one is going to be to watch your class lecture video. And the second one is going to be to work on writing a makeup making kit list. Think of some things that you might want uh, to obtain for your own makeup making kit. So let's start off. We're going to talk about 10 things that we should avoid before we get into the things that we're going to use. So I encourage you to be aware of these things. Don't go to your cabinet right now after you finish the class today and throw everything out. Um, but as you clean things out and you go and buy new things, it's a good idea to kind of be aware of these things that you might find in your products that can be harmful. So the first two that seem to be very big topics right now are parabens and phthalates. So parabens are considered a carcinogen, and if you don't know what a carcinogen is something that causes cancer. This is a big one right now that people are really starting to pay attention to. And in fact, you will see in a lot of products, they will say that they are paraben free as a means of marketing those products. So watch out for these. Uh, Parabens are preservatives. They're found in food, they're found in beverages, and they are found in a wide array of cosmetic products. So this is one to really kind of pay attention to. Phthalates. So phthalates are, first and foremost, they're an endocrine disruptor, so they do things to your hormones. They are also a carcinogen, and they cause reproductive defects. You sometimes find these in nail polish. You might find them in perfumes, lotions, or hairsprays. So these two seem to be the two that we hear a lot about of these days. So kind of be on the lookout for those. Now, let's talk about two more. So the first one on this page is triclosan. And triclosan is actually sometimes marketed as being advantageous to having in your products. We find them in hand sanitizer. Sometimes you find them in tooth or antibacterial soap, and it might say on the package that this is this wonderful um, antibacterial product. Unfortunately, it's also an endocrine disruptor and it causes skin irritation um, in some people. So great for antibacterial things, not so great for the rest of our body. So keep an eye out for this one. The next one is toluene. Toluene is very commonly found in nail polish. You will either see it listed on the box, or pardon, on the bottle uh, in the ingredients as having toluene in it, or you will see in some nail polishes they will be marketed again as being toluene free. Now the problem with it is that it does reproductive damage and it can also do immune system damage. And the thing that I find about products with toluene in them, when you're buying your nail polish, the cheaper your nail polish is, the more likely it is to have this in it. So kind of keep that in mind, and one of those tales where you get what you pay for. So toluene, watch out for that one. All right, so the next one is formaldehyde. Formaldehyde, again, it's another carcinogen. It's also another skin irritant. It's a preservative. Uh, it is used to preserve things which are no longer living. Sometimes you see it used to preserve scientific specimens of animals. It's also used as a preservative in nail polish. It's used as a preservative in body wash and shampoo, conditioner, and even eyeshadow. Um, Sometimes it's found, again, with nail polish, you'll see it as either being in probably a less expensive nail polish, or some of the more expensive nail polishes have it listed that they are formaldehyde free. So that's one we definitely want to keep an eye out for. The next one, sodium lauryl sulfate. This is in the sulfate family. Sulfates can be carcinogens, and they also damage the skin, eyes, kidneys, lungs. They can do quite a bit of damage um, in some people. They are found in shampoo. Sometimes they're found in mascara. They're found in acne treatments and body washes. So these are another one to kind of watch out for. They're also found, when they're found in shampoo, they're actually really kind of hard and harsh on the hair and can actually strip your hair. So definitely one, you want something more gentle, stay away from products with sulfates in them. All right, so the next two. The next one is propylene glycol. Propylene glycol is a skin irritant. It causes hives. It causes dermatitis. It's sometimes found in hairspray, moisturizers, sunscreen, shampoos, conditioners. It's found in a wide array of different products. Um, Another one, now this next one is lead. And if you were listening in our first class, we talked about how damaging lead can be. And we know that it is damaging now, although it was used for thousands of years in cosmetic products. And we don't find so much that lead is actually added to products anymore. So this is kind of tricky because you're not going to see it listed on an ingredient list. What happens is that manufacturers will get products that are contaminated with it, or raw materials that are contaminated with it, and then it happens to find its way into your products. Um, this is most concerning in lipstick, because lipstick is on your mouth and it goes straight into your body. They have actually done testing on several different types of lipsticks, and the amount of lead in them, some of them, was off the charts, and most certainly problematic. So with lipstick, sometimes it's better to, in this case, to make your own, or to really know where you're buying it from so you know what goes in it. Lead causes brain damage, it causes nervous system damage, it causes damage to the skin. Um, and after a while, with the brain and nervous system damage, it becomes irreversible. Um, and it can be extremely problematic. It's also sometimes found in hair dyes. And there's also tends to be a problem with kohl or kajal. Um, Depending on where it was made, that sometimes it is also contaminated with lead. So that's one you definitely, like I said, it's not going to be listed in your list of ingredients. This is something where you really just want to make sure that you trust your manufacturer and you know what you're buying and who you're buying it from. So, all right. So the next two are a little tricky, or our last two here. They're a little tricky because we really don't know what they are. Artificial colors. Often these are carcinogens. They're not made from natural products. Um, we don't really know what they are in some cases. Um, and kind of like lead, these are most concerning when we're talking about lipstick, again, because it's not something we're putting on top of our skin. It's something that's going directly into our body via our mouth. Artificial fragrances, a lot of artificial fragrances tend to be hormone disruptors, or they cause dermatitis. Again, oftentimes we don't even know what these are because they're not listed on the package. But we find them in a wide array of things. Mascaras, lotions, and creams are often loaded with artificial fragrance, depending on what you're buying. Even our foundation uh, often has artificial fragrance in it. So these two are slightly ambiguous, but definitely ones we want to watch out for because we really don't know what they are. So now we've talked about what we shouldn't buy. Let's talk about some things that um, you might want to use in your makeup so that you know what's in it and you know what's going in and on your body. So the first group of things I want to talk about, these are often the things that form the base for a lot of our cosmetic products, and these are oils and butters. This can be anything from almond oil, olive oil, hemp seed oil. This includes things like rosehip oil, essential oils. um, Butters are often used as bases for things like foundations, concealers, things like that. And they can be shea butter, cocoa butter, mango butter. Lots of different options here. So let's look at some of those. So you can see I have a few here that I use in my own makeup making kit. There's avocado and hemp seed oil. There's olive oil, coconut oil. I also use, if you look in the left-hand side of your page, you'll see vitamin E oil. Now, vitamin E oil is one that is important in some recipes because not only is it good for your skin, but um, it also acts as a preservative. So a lot of these things that we are making, they're made from natural ingredients. They're not made with preservatives. Vitamin E can act as a preservative. So you can also buy a vitamin E oil in capsules and prick the capsule and put it into your recipes as well. So that's an option as well. You can also see cocoa butter here. I've got cocoa butter in a jar. I also have blocks of cocoa butter, as you can see in the bottom right-hand side. Shea butter, mango butter. We use different essential oils for different things as well, and we'll talk a little bit more about specifically how to use those in our next class. So these are a few things that you might want to use. So now the other thing that really forms the basis for our makeup making are powders, and these can include things like arrowroot powder, tapioca powder. Cocoa powder is one that we use very, very often for things like foundations and concealers, powders, face powders. So arrowroot powder I find is the one that I use most commonly for bases for things like eyeshadows and powders. Sometimes I use tapioca powder as well. Now let's talk about how we're going to get colors. So there's a few different ways that we're going to be able to get colors in our makeup. This is going to be through natural powders, things like hibiscus root, beetroot. Hibiscus and beetroot make a red or red-pink color. Wild yam powder is what I use. It makes a purple powder. There are natural pigment powders you can buy. You can get turmeric, cinnamon, things like that, spices that have color, although of course you want to be careful with those because you don't want to use, say, cayenne pepper for your eyeshadow and you're putting cayenne pepper on your eyes and then burning the daylights out of yourself. So when you're using things like spices, do use common sense as to what you're using. Even though it might be a pretty color, it might not be something you want to put on your skin. Another thing that we use a lot is mica powder. Mica powder comes in a ton of different colors. You can buy a small box of it online with, gosh, 20 different colors in it. Mica powder is shimmery, so if you want to add shimmer to your makeup, this is a way to do that. So mica powder is often used in soap making, and a tiny, tiny bit of it goes a long way. So that's what I definitely advise investing in. So let's look at a few of these. So you can see cinnamon and turmeric. I also here have a few different things. So you can see the blue pigment. Next to the blue pigment is rose clay. We can use clays to get color in our products as well. Rose clay makes a beautiful pink color. French green clay makes a green color. Bentonite clay makes another greenish color. Another powder that we very commonly use in makeup making is zinc oxide. And zinc oxide forms a base and gives us kind of a white color. We will talk more about zinc oxide in our next class, and we will talk about zinc oxide quite a bit as we go through because it does form the basis for a lot of different things. Another thing you can use is charcoal. If you see the charcoal uh, bottle, the bottle of charcoal there, charcoal can be used for black. You can add it to eyeshadows to make them darker. Um, and you can use the activated charcoal in the capsules, or I've had students who use the charcoal for teeth whitening as well and have been able to use that with success to get a black color as well. So charcoal capsules or even charcoal for your teeth work too. So lots of different options for colors when we're making our makeup. So let's go on. So let's talk about a few other things you might want to use in your makeup. Distilled water, this is important. Um, when you are making your products, it is important to use distilled water or at the very least some type of boiled filtered um, water that has had any organisms either filtered out or boiled out or somehow removed from them. But distilled water is always going to be your best option for this. You can use witch hazel. Witch hazel is used for toners and cleaners and things like that. One of my other favorites is rose water. I use it to set my makeup. I use it on my hair. I buy it in bulk. We love rose water in my house. Another thing is liquid Castile soap. You can buy the big Dr. Bronner's bottles that I'm going to show you in a second. Another thing is beeswax. So we use beeswax as the basis for things like foundations, cream blushes. This is also used in salves and things like that. Another thing that is worth investing in is emulsifying wax. Okay, so when we try to mix a type of water-based liquid with oils or waxes, they don't want to go together. Okay, oil and water don't mix, right? So we have to have something that is called an emulsifier. Borax is sometimes used as an emulsifier, but you can also buy emulsifying wax as well. So that's a good investment. And you can see some of these things here, the beeswax. You can see the Castile soap. It's Dr. Bronner's Baby Mild. I get the unscented, although I have had students who've used scented Castile soap for various things, and it's worked out well for them. You can see the rose water. This is a rose water that I buy in bulk. Witch hazel. Another one that is not on our list that I really, really like is orange blossom water. Rose water and orange blossom water. Both work really well. I like to use those to mix masks, clay masks to put on. And orange blossom water and rose water both smell amazing. And at the very end here, you can see the emulsifying wax as well. So let's go on. So just to finish this up, let's talk about a few tools that you might want to use. Containers, small screw-on lid containers for eyeshadow, larger screw-on containers for powders and blushes. Salve jars work really well for foundations. When you are putting together your kit, having some cleaning supplies is always a good idea. Paper towels, rubbing alcohol. I really like disinfecting wipes. They're not super earth friendly, but they work really well. Another thing that I recommend is a spatula and palette. So when we're making our makeup, sometimes we don't want to stick our finger down in there because we don't want to contaminate our product with whatever's on our finger. But if you have a spatula and a palette, you can dip out your product, you can put it on the palette, dip your sponge in it, and then put it on your face that way, and then you avoid contaminating your product. Another thing that, of course, we'll talk about this actually in our second to last class in depth is, of course, you want makeup brushes. So let's look at some of these supplies. So you can see here, of course, we've got different types of brushes. In the middle of this picture, you will see that metal spatula and palette that I like to use to dip my products onto before I put them on my face. Disinfecting wipes, alcohol, salve jars. Now over here on the right hand side you see 4 little small jars that you can use for things like concealers, eyeliner, and eyeshadow. You can buy these in bulk. You can get a big bag of 50 for relatively inexpensive. Since things like eyeshadows and eyeliners and concealers, we like to play with these products a lot. It's good to have a lot of these on hand. You can also see right above those eyeshadow containers are the containers that I use for powders and blushes. They have they're shallow containers and they have little slotted lids on them. So if you just want to get a little bit of powder, you can use them that way. I also have taken that little slotted part out, and I use them just to press powders in as well. So lots of little different containers. Like I said, a spatula and palette are good things to have as well. So that concludes all of our things that you might want to look at. Now, of course, you don't want to go right to your cabinet, throw out all the bad stuff we talked about at the beginning, and go on a buying spree and buy all of this. You know, clean things out a little bit at a time, and add a few things to your makeup making kit as you go along, and then you'll have a nice array of things. And then when you decide you want to do something, then you have things there. And maybe you only need to add 1 or 2 different products, different raw materials to try something new. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about that. So if you could have any of these products, what products that we talked about do you think would be the most important to you, or some of the first ones that you really want to look at getting? Another thing, we talked about different ways to get different colors. So I want you to kind of look up 3 different color pigments, things that you can use to color your makeup, whether they're pigments, whether they're natural materials, whether it's mica, things like that. So I want you to come up with 3 different types of pigments that you could use. And I want you to go ahead, we're not going to bring it to the next class, but do make yourself a list. And if you'll post that to our classroom forum, that will be fine. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I will be happy to answer them. I hope you have enjoyed learning about all the interesting things that you can use to make your makeup today. And I will see you next time. Bye, guys.